All right, so get ready, because today we are diving into the deep end with this one.
Okay.
We're tackling Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Oh, fun.
And I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm a little bit intimidated.
Really? Why?
Well, it's 41 novels, and
a lot.
yeah, it's a lot. So we've got that Wikipedia article you sent, and that seems like a good place to start at least, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great overview. It gives you all the basics. And from there, the beauty of Discworld is you can kind of go anywhere.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking maybe we would need to do like 3 deep dives to get through all of this, but you're saying
Maybe.
maybe, but we can kind of pick and choose a little bit.
Yeah, it's choose your own adventure in a way.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, for anyone who hasn't heard of Discworld, and I'm sure most people have, but let's just start at the beginning. What is this world?
Okay, well, imagine this. A flat planet
Okay.
balanced on the backs of 4 elephants who are, in turn, standing on a giant turtle.
So it's turtles all the way down.
Pretty much. And this turtle is swimming through space. That's Discworld.
So we're not talking about like subtle social commentary here. This is like right in your face from the very beginning, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's social commentary disguised as side-splitting fantasy. What's fascinating is how Pratchett takes this completely impossible world, this absurd premise, and uses it to hold up a mirror to our own realities.
I like that. So we're not just talking about escapism here, although I'm sure there's plenty of that too.
Of course.
But it's more than that.
Exactly. It makes you laugh and think at the same time, which is really, I think, the heart of what makes Discworld so special.
So the world is a little bit, or maybe a lot, out there. What about the man who created it? I mean, 41 novels, that's a lot of time spent with these characters in this world.
It is. And Terry Pratchett was a master at crafting these worlds, this blends of wit and wisdom. I mean, 41 Discworld novels talk about prolific.
Right.
But each one, like I said, it's so carefully crafted. It's like he battled satire, insight, belly laughs, all in one go.
So we're not just talking about funny fantasy novels. The Wikipedia article mentions some pretty heavy topics, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't shy away from the big stuff. Politics, religion, even storytelling itself.
Right.
He tackles it all head on, but with this razor-sharp wit. It's like he makes you think, even as you're chuckling along.
So how does he populate a world this unique? I mean, the characters must be pretty remarkable.
Oh, they're amazing. Where do we even begin?
Well, we could start with, like, if we bumped into someone in Discworld, who would we meet?
Well, you might run into Rincewind. He's a wizard.
Okay.
But instead of being this, grand, wise figure like a Gandalf, he's cowardly, he's accident-prone. Honestly, he's the last person you'd want around in a crisis.
He sounds strangely familiar. So who else? What other kind of characters are we going to meet in Discworld?
Well, you'll meet Death himself,
Okay.
but not the Grim Reaper you might be picturing.
Okay.
This Death, he speaks in all-cap yes. He's obsessed with cats.
Okay.
And he has this, surprisingly soft spot for humanity.
Death with a soft spot. I like it. Okay, so we've got a cowardly wizard. We've got Death. Who else?
Then there's Granny Weatherwax. She's a witch.
Okay.
But she's about as no-nonsense as they come. She relies more on common sense, which she calls headology, basically psychology, than she does on flashy magic. She's all about practicality in this fantastical world.
Okay, so she's like, yeah, magic, sure, whatever, but calming friends, that's where it's at.
Exactly.
I like her already.
Yeah. And speaking of common sense, but in a very different way, there's Sam Vimes, captain of the Ankh-Morpork City Watch.
Okay.
Think hard-boiled detective, but drops straight into this fantasy world.
That's an interesting combination.
It is.
What's Ankh-Morpork?
So Ankh-Morpork is the biggest city on Discworld. It's this bustling, chaotic metropolis full of crime, corruption, and just like a cast of characters that would make Dickens blush.
So we've got the city, Ankh-Morpork. It sounds like it's a whole other deep dive just waiting to happen.
Oh, absolutely. It's got its own unique ecosystem, both literally and figuratively.
But before we get lost in the back alleys of Ankh-Morpork,
Right.
you mentioned earlier something about Rincewind, our cowardly wizard, and traveling to other dimensions. Did I hear that right?
You did. He actually ends up in our world at one point. Round world, as they call it.
World.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
So do those science fiction elements pop up a lot in these books?
Not a lot, but when they do, they're brilliant.
Okay, so we've got interdimensional travel, a cowardly wizard, Death who loves cats. Anything else I should know about?
Well, about Death.
Yeah.
You mentioned his soft spot for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a big part of his story. He's not just observing us from afar.
Yeah.
He's trying to understand us. He even goes so far as to adopt a daughter.
Death adopted a daughter. What? That's amazing.
Right. It's surprisingly heartwarming.
So tell me more about this family. It sounds fascinating.
It is. It's through those relationships with his daughter, his apprentice, his granddaughter, that we see Death really grappling with these big questions.
Okay.
Life, death, what it means to be human. It's surprisingly profound stuff.
Okay.
But of course, delivered with Pratchett's signature dark humor.
Of course, because why not?
Exactly. He makes you think, but he also makes you laugh. That's the beauty of it.
So we've got Death and his adopted daughter trying to figure out humanity. We've got the cowardly wizard. We've got this, like, crazy city. What about the witches? Are they like your typical witches?
Not at all. Pratchett's witches are much more grounded, practical. They're in tune with nature.
Okay.
They're more likely to be found brewing up some herbal remedy or, dispensing some tough love advice than they are conjuring fireballs. Granny Weatherwax, for instance.
Yeah.
She's all about using her head, headology, she calls it, to solve problems.
Right. I like that. No nonsense. Practical magic.
Exactly. And then there's Nanny Ogg.
Nanny Ogg. The article mentioned her.
Oh, she's great. She's Granny Weatherwax's best friend. And where Granny's a bit more stern, imposing, Nanny's warm, approachable, always up for a good time.
Sounds fun.
Oh, she is. But don't let that fool you. She's just as sharp, just as resourceful as Granny Weatherwax.
Okay.
Just maybe her methods are a little less, shall we say, conventional.
I like her style.
And together, they end up mentoring a whole new generation of witches.
Oh, right.
Yeah. McGraw Garlick, Agnes Nitt, and later on, Tiffany Aching. Each one brings their own unique perspective to the world of witches.
Okay.
And their stories explore these really interesting themes of female empowerment, finding your voice, challenging the status quo, all within this, wonderfully quirky world.
So speaking of challenging the status quo, we've got to talk about the Ankh-Morpork City Watch.
Right.
You described it as a blend of fantasy and police procedural, which sounds kind of amazing and also kind of like, how does that even work?
Well, imagine a world where, magic is real,
Okay.
but technology is catching up.
Okay.
And the streets are patrolled by werewolves and dwarfs and trolls alongside your more traditional human officers. That's the City Watch.
So like fantasy police.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Okay. Who's in charge of this like ragtag group?
That would be Sam Vimes.
Okay.
Captain Sam Vimes. He's this wonderfully cynical, world-weary character. He's seen it all,
Right.
He hates the corruption that festers in Ankh-Morpork, but he's also fiercely loyal to the city and its people.
Okay.
And he's the kind of leader who operates in the gray areas.
Okay.
Bends the rules when he needs to get the job done.
So one of those like you love him even when he's kind of not doing the right thing type characters.
Exactly. And he's surrounded by this great cast of characters.
Okay.
Fred Colin, the veteran sergeant who'd rather be at the pub.
Yeah.
Very relatable. Nobby Nobbs, he's a master of disguise. Seems to know every criminal in the city.
Yeah.
And Carrot Iron Founderson.
Okay.
He's a dwarf raised by humans.
Right.
He believes in law and order with almost like a naive enthusiasm.
Okay.
It's a great mix.
It sounds like it. And it's interesting because it seems like Pratchett's using this fantastical setting, these really out there characters, but he's dealing with real world issues. The Wikipedia article talked about prejudice, social justice, the challenges of maintaining order in a world that seems pretty chaotic.
That's one of the things I admire most about Pratchett. He never shies away from these difficult topics.
Right.
But he approaches them with this sense of humor and empathy that makes them, it makes them digestible,
Right.
You're thinking, but you're also laughing, often on the same page.
So it's like a very human approach to these really big, complex issues.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've got this bumbling wizard. We've got philosophical death, practical witches, hard-boiled cops in a fantasy world. Anything else? Are we missing anything in this world?
We can't forget the Wizards of Unseen University.
Oh, right. The wizards, of course.
They're a whole other breed.
Okay. What's going on over at Unseen University? What kind of trouble are they getting up to?
Well, imagine a university
Okay.
dedicated to the study of magic,
Okay.
where the faculty is more interested in their research
Okay.
and their, internal squabbles
Okay.
than actually dealing with the real world.
Yeah.
That's Unseen University in a nutshell.
They sound fun.
Oh, they're a riot.
Yeah.
You've got Mustrum Ridcully. He's the Arch-Chancellor, enjoys a good hunt, loves his brandy.
Okay.
Ponder Stivens. He's a young wizard who's just trying to make sense of it all.
Okay.
And, of course, the librarian,
Okay.
who's an orangutan.
Okay, wait. What?
Yeah. transformed by a magical accident, now guards the library's vast collection of books with, like, an iron fist.
And an orangutan, of course.
It wouldn't be Discworld without it.
Okay, so we've got an orangutan librarian. I love it. I mean, it seems like Pratchett really let his imagination run wild with this world, which is amazing. But also, I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. How does it all connect? The Discworld is starting to feel awfully big. It really is. Like, we've opened this door to this massive world, and behind it are all these other doors. I'm getting why you said one deep dive on Discworld might not be enough.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. But speaking of unpacking, the Wikipedia article mentioned something about reading order or not. What's the deal with that?
So that's one of the great things about Discworld. Pratchett was adamant that readers could jump in wherever they like.
Really?
Yeah. Most of the books, they're self-contained stories,
Right.
even if they are part of a larger series.
That's pretty cool. So, like, if I'm in the mood for a fantasy police procedural, I can just grab one of the City Watch books and I'm good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There might be little Easter eggs for longtime fans,
Okay.
like recurring characters or references to past events, but you don't need to have read everything to enjoy any one book.
Okay, that's good to know because, like I said, 41 books, a little intimidating.
Yeah,
But, you know, for those of us who like a little more structure,
sure.
it did mention there are some loose story arcs.
There are, yeah. It really depends on what you're looking for. Like if you find yourself drawn to a certain character or group of characters, you can follow their stories across multiple books.
So it's like choose your own adventure through Discworld.
Exactly. And there are tons of resources out there. The Discworld fan community is awesome.
Yeah.
They have websites, forums, reading order guides, you name it.
That's fantastic. So they've got it all figured out. We'll just point people in that direction.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay. So we've talked about the characters, the stories, even how to navigate this massive world that is Discworld, but what's it all about? Why should people care about this flat planet on the back of elephants, standing on a turtle, hurtling through space?
It's a good question, and I think at its heart, Discworld is about us,
Us.
humanity,
Yeah.
in all its messy, contradictory glory.
Okay, so it's not really about the dragons and the magic. It's about what those fantastical elements allow Pratchett to say about us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He takes these real-world issues, prejudice, social injustice, abuse of power, and by putting them in this absurd, fantastical setting, he allows us to laugh at ourselves,
Okay.
to question our assumptions, to see the world in a new light.
So it's like he's giving us permission to laugh at the hard stuff.
In a way, yeah. He's giving us a safe space to explore these difficult topics, to find humor in the darkness and hopefully come out the other side with a fresh perspective.
And isn't that what great literature is supposed to do? Make you think, make you feel, make you see the world differently.
Exactly. And that's what Discworld does so brilliantly. It's a fantasy world, but the insights it offers are so real, and they stay with you long after you finish the book.
So where do we even begin?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Pick a book, any book. Just dive in. Let your curiosity be your guide.
I love that. Follow your curiosity, see where it takes you on the disc.
Exactly.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about. Thank you. It's been great.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Discworld. We'll see you next time.